Yeah, my Travel Ones podcast tonight is Sandy Knights. How are you doing today, Sandy?
Good. How are you?
Doing well, doing very well. Sandy's a singer slash, I'd almost say entertainer, correct?
Yeah.
I like the singing, but the entertaining's good too. Go ahead, if you get a chance, give me my listeners a little bit of your background on singing and kind of the background of how you came to be in Las Vegas.
Oh gosh, I'm trying to make a long story, not a year-long story. Essentially, I started picking up singing after college when I was working in a country bar. Just through getting opportunities locally, I was then recognized by a regional band that was based out of Las Vegas. I had worked with them in the past when I was an entertainment director for another country bar I worked for. Definitely fought it, never thought Vegas was the place I'd end up or work or anything like that. But I've been here now for 3 years and have been traveling across 6 states. And gosh, it's been an adventure, to put it lightly.
Well, I mean, yeah, one thing we talked about when I met you and we were in Vegas was, as people that travel, we tend to forget or stop doing a lot of our hobbies and some of the fun things that we used to enjoy.
Oh,
like
absolutely.
I know we talked about golf and hunting and this and that, but all of a sudden you get wrapped up into your work world, work life, and you kind of forget the fun stuff.
Absolutely, and that's something that I'm definitely guilty of. The last 3 years, I recently have come across some free time, and I kind of sat back in just some solitude and thought to myself, gosh, when's the last time I rode a horse? When's the last time I shot a gun? When's the last time I went fishing? These are all things I did on a weekly basis back home, Northern California. Yeah. And it kind of hit me when I had a young man who was helping run sound for a show I had in Southern California. And he just was like, oh, I looked you up. I've seen all these things you've done, all these people you've opened up for. Wow. And he was just so, he was adorable, just a young kid, and just so hungry for, his dreams, to come true. And to him, I was someone to look up to. And I'm like trying to give him some kind of piece of advice. And it hit me really in that moment as well. Like, go after it, but don't lose whatever it is that makes you, like as an individual. Everyone, there's a lot of singers out there and a lot of people can sing, but, what makes you an individual and don't lose track of that, whatever makes you happy, any kind of hobbies or, whatever it might be, just make sure you leave some time out to, still have your life.
Yeah, I went through the same things and, I'm like, oh, I golf once a year now,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I forgot how to fish,
Yeah. You get so busy and wrapped up into everything, which, is a good thing too. I mean, you want to be, you want to put everything you got into maybe a dream or whatever it might be. But if you lose sight of yourself through that, then you're not succeeding, in my opinion. And like I said, I'm guilty of it. And so I'm now kind of reevaluating what just happened. Yeah, I've been all over the place. I've had some great experiences, but it's like I've become a character, like the person that is on stage. I've consumed myself in that character, not fed the individual that I am.
Well, give my listeners an idea of who you've opened up for and some of the stages you've been on.
Yeah, I was in Cheyenne, Wyoming during Frontier Days. That was the largest crowd I'd ever performed for. I've opened up for Big and Rich, Cowboy Troy, Sugar Ray, Joe Diffie, Kix Brooks of Brooks and Dunn, back when they were doing their, individual thing.
Yeah.
The list goes on and on. Those are my top favorite ones, though. And like I said, just amazing experiences and just getting to share the stage with people like that.
And I saw some pictures of you with Toby Keith and.
Yeah. That I have a shared residency at Toby Keith's bar in Harrah's on the Las Vegas Strip, and he's shown up a number of times.
Yeah.
When we've been there, and we get to perform with him, and it's almost it's like I kind of, to be honest with you, sometimes I forget things like that have happened because it's just like, did that really even happen though? I mean, what a cool experience. And then, it's definitely performing in Las Vegas is a thing all on its own, and then just because you resonate in one city doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be received the same way in another one. And I've been blessed to get to travel to so many states, and it's always, I don't really get nervous anymore. It's just sometimes I get a little bit anxious, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
Going from, let's say, for example, Las Vegas to North Dakota, you're like, I'm just going to do what I do, and hopefully people like it.
I've heard, some of my friends who are musicians and have toured all that actually say they don't like playing in L.A. as much because L.A. crowds tend to be more jaded. You get more industry people who aren't there to have a good time. They're there to see if other people are having a good time, to see if they could get something from you, or, there tends to be a lot of industry people versus people that are there to have a good time and rock out.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely are. Yeah, you're definitely going to hit moments where, I've performed for 8,000 people and I have performed for 8 people. That's all part of the adventure, and you just, you do end up kind of favoring some places over others, I would say, for sure.
When we went to Paris, and the guy that was singing in that little private bar in the back, not
yeah,
Ryan, but the other guy.
Yeah. Justin Carter. Yep.
Justin, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there was 6 to 8 people in there, and he kicks ass. He was great.
Yes.
So it's interesting,
Amazing. But yeah, I mean, if you don't, no matter what size crowd you have, you can't waver on the quality of performance you put on either. I mean, that's what really puts the line between a professional and someone who's doing it for maybe just because they like the attention or whatever it might be. A true professional that loves what they're doing is going to give a kick-ass performance no matter how many people is there, because they're not doing it for other people. They're doing it for them and because they love it. And, hopefully it's bringing a paycheck as well. But, yeah, someone like Justin Carter, gosh, I mean, he never wavers. I've seen him play in front of a ton of people here in town. I've seen him play for a small group, and he just slays every time. I love people like that. It just is beautiful.
And that's why you keep doing what you do.
That's right. Sometimes you have to keep the fire burning on your own.
Well, yeah. I mean, I have the same, whether my kids and my family and all that, you have to burn your own candle.
Sometimes, yes.
I mean, when I'm sitting in a hotel room or driving for 6 or 8 hours, how much driving, most of your traveling was in the western United States?
Yeah, so the farthest I've gone would be North Dakota. That's 20-something hours. We would break that one up, though, and I did all the driving. So we took 2 vehicles, so that way we were a little more mobile. No one had to, we didn't all have to depend on one person if we wanted to kind of move around town or go to a store, go to a restaurant, things like that. So I would take my personal vehicle, and which is a Honda Element, and I call it the tour box because I don't have a tour bus yet.
Yeah.
So the tour box has done me very well. And then we also have my guitar player's van where we put most of the heavy equipment, speakers, things like that.
And the drum kit and all that.
Yeah. And gosh, being on the road all those hours, it can wear on you, but we all have to be a little crazy, I guess. Those of us that are on the road so much that don't have the luxury of being, chartered around somehow.
Well, no, but let me ask you this question. Do you think it's easier in a bigger group? Like for me, I travel by myself.
Right.
And, so I have a 6-hour drive by myself, 8-hour drive by myself, Do you think it's better or obviously, I mean, I think it could be both. It could be better and worse.
Absolutely pros and cons. So for the year that I traveled back and forth by myself from Northern California to Vegas, which is essentially like 9-hour travel time.
Yeah.
And because I just thought, I didn't know how the new project was going to go, and I wasn't going to jump into Las Vegas with nothing lined up for myself. I had things made for me back home. So during that transition time, I did all the traveling by myself and, would meet the guys at certain performances until things really picked up. And I was like, okay, it's beginning to get to the point where I need to move there for it to make sense. And, but yeah, traveling in a group too. I mean, it's cool having someone in the car with you. But you really you just have to have that good friendship, I guess, or camaraderie with that person. Because if you don't get along with the people you're in the car with, then, or you're,
it could be your worst nightmare, right?
It could be awful, and you're just like, God, I wish I was alone, So, I mean, it can go either way. If you're blessed enough, like for me, I always had my drummer with me, and him and I could talk about he's my business partner. So we would talk business, we would talk about the weirdest stuff, So I got lucky to have somebody with me that we really could talk about anything and make the time go by fast. The other guys sometimes in the van were butting heads and stuff, and so that makes a 10-hour trip seem like 3 days, I bet. Everyone being silent, angry.
I know one thing. I just left Denver for 8 days, and with all the other sales rep for our company, and we just hired a new sales rep, and we're like about 4 or 5 of us, 6 of us. If we got a 4 or 5 hour drive, we'll call each other. Hey, what are you doing? I am driving too. Okay, let's talk.
Yeah.
And we'll just end up talking for like an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, until one of us makes a stop or whatever. But it's just to fill the time.
I definitely have road buddies for when I travel by myself. Mom and Dad are always a phone call. Usually Grandpa, usually my roommate Krista. Like, you just have those certain friends that you can just put a headphone in, make sure you're being safe about it, and put that out there. It's good to have those people though. And then sometimes I just want to be by myself though. Sometimes it's really nice sometimes I don't even put the music on. I just am there with my thoughts, and that's always sometimes a beautiful thing. It just kind of depends. And sometimes I'm blaring music so loud I'm blowing my own head off. It's just.
It's interesting. I've talked to several people now that travel, through the podcast, and even before. But I've definitely talked to people that are like I'm the same way. There's times when my music's so loud I can't hear my phone ring.
Yeah.
And then there's times when I'm just like, you know what? Just turn it off. A lot of times I'll just roll all my windows down, my sunroof open, and turn the music off, and just drive for like an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah.
And won't pick up the phone, and just. So I just wonder if it's people that tour for a living like us.
Right.
We
spend so much time. All of our time is spent in the vehicle.
Yeah.
Very little of it's really, in the grand scheme of things, very little of it's actually spent performing. Most of it's the travel.
Oh, see, what I always tell people when they say, what do you do for a living? I say, I drive for a living. I do appointments in between. Right.
Totally makes sense.
I'll do a 4-hour drive down to San Diego, down to Calexico, which is right on the border. Do a 45-minute to an hour and a half max appointment, and then drive an hour and a half into San Diego, spend the night there, wake up, have an appointment at 10 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean? But all this time traveling and sleeping in hotels and eating restaurants by yourself for an hour meeting.
Yeah, I've joked about that many times where, I say I get paid to drive, and then the actual performance part is free. That's my payoff. That's what I get to do as a reward.
For all that driving and traveling.
Right. And all the practicing and, years and hours that I've spent, fine-tuning what I do. Literally my entire life. I've been on stage my entire life. So,
I don't think the worm took you that long to learn. But
what was that?
The worm.
The worm. Oh, man. I'm going to tell people about that.
No.
Oh. Everyone's got hidden talents, okay? I can do a backwards worm pretty good.
Yeah, you crushed it. You definitely crushed it.
But do you have, I was just thinking, do you have any weird things that you travel with? Like, I for example, one time I was in a hotel. This is like things that have happened through the years that made me I have these like things I have to travel with. So I always have my travel mug, for tea or coffee. I put it in my mug, and it says may contain whiskey on it, which it doesn't when I'm driving, guys. But it's my specific. It's my mug that I always have with me. I remember one time I was in Winnemucca, Nevada, and I went to use a towel in the hotel, and it smelled weird. Like I went to just like dry myself, and I was like, nope, never again. So I travel with my own towel or towels, depending on how long I'm gone, and I travel with my own pillow and blanket because I mean, you just don't know these days. I've been in a hotel where I pulled back the comforter and there's still like there was hair, like they didn't actually wash the bedding, so that freaks me out. So now I have to have my own pillow and blanket. Like I travel with way too much stuff now, but that's because things have happened that freaked me out, and I'm like, oh, just in case, I'm gonna pack this stuff.
I would tell you that the strangest thing, I traveled with my pillow once, and I left it in the hotel.
Oh no! But see, it's just like if you think about it, though. I mean, I'd rather have my own pillow. I
tried it, but it just like
you failed.
And so you get home, you're like, "Where's it? Oh, I left. Oh, fuck." And I don't want it back at that point.
Nope.
So no, good. So I don't have anything that's like that. I mean, I get asked if you do I travel with a black light? I'm like, no, because I don't want to know.
Heck no, that would make things even worse.
Because
it's bad enough that I like saw hair, like,
I stay at hotels. There's a couple hotels. I stayed in one going up Northern California. I was up near, where was it? It was between Sacramento and Shasta.
Okay.
I can't remember the city. Near Redding. Yeah. Just north of Redding.
Okay.
And it was a shithole. It was bad. It was bad.
Oh.
And I was like, all right, it's just one night. How bad can it be? So I already paid for the room, right? So I'm like, all right. So I go in there. I'm like, oh no. I slept in my clothes. I slept in not even like a fetal, just on my back in my clothes from the previous day, so I could change in the morning into my clean clothes.
Oh,
and I didn't go under the blankets. I just took the top cover off and just slept just like that, freezing. So I put the heater up. I didn't want to touch anything. It was that bad.
Oh, I've been there.
Okay, I'm not doing this again.
I performed at the it's called the River Run. It's the bike rally every year in Laughlin, Nevada, and that town sells out. So, granted, our hotel rooms were provided, but it was like the worst place you could possibly stay there.
Yeah.
And this is when the blanket thing started, because it was always the pillow that had already been a thing. But it was so bad and I was so uncomfortable. All I had in my car was actually my dog's blanket. It was so bad. I put my dog's blanket down on top of the bed with my pillow, and that's how I slept.
Yeah.
I mean, and granted, my dog's, she doesn't really shed or anything, so it's not like she has like that dander, like fur was all over it. But still, I mean, I used my dog's blanket to sleep in a hotel room. That's how bad it was. I mean, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to start bringing my own blanket. So that's how that started.
Yeah, see, I was right there with you until I just
you forgot it.
I forgot it. Like, it wasn't worth getting in. But yeah, so I mean, I definitely. Most of the places I stay at, when I'm by myself on the road, I wouldn't stay with my wife and my kids. You know what I mean? It's just like,
oh yeah,
no. But when I'm by myself, I'm like, yeah, whatever. It's one night, I can do it.
Right.
But so there's definitely a balance.
Absolutely, and same thing. If I'm going on an actual vacation, I would never put myself in some of these places. However, the venue is providing the room, so at the end of the day, you have to.
Yeah.
That's saving. That's a big part of your paycheck if you are going to be picky about, where you're staying. It's or making those kinds of demands and stuff like that. You can't really do that. But I certainly wouldn't choose to stay in a lot of the places I've stayed.
Well, it's interesting for me. I mean, as long as I'm safe and pretty clean, I guess I can say that. I don't care. I mean, because like you say, I'm not on vacation. I'm there to work.
Have you ever? Okay. Do you check under your bed? I just have to ask this. Okay. I found.
I don't want to know.
I've found. I found shoes, and I'm not talking just like shoes. I'm talking like big platform.
Leftovers. I gotcha. Strippers.
Yeah, I've found that, and I have also found a thong before.
A what?
Like underwear, like a G-string.
Oh, thong. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I didn't mean the first time I found something. I never thought like I'm gonna check under my bed all the time. I think I dropped something.
Yeah.
You know, and I went down on the ground and I went to pick it up, and lo and behold, these big old platform heels. I'm like, no way. So now I have to. You know, you don't know what's.
See, now you're gonna make me do it.
Now I have to do it. Yes, it's so weird.
Now you're gonna make me do it.
See, now you're gonna be thinking about it.
I like I said, I just don't want to know.
I know. It's just one of those things, though. Once it happens, you're like,
I'll tell you.
You can't unthink it.
I'll tell you a good story.
Okay.
I'm in El Cajon, in San Diego,
mm-hmm.
and not in the best neighborhood, but not the worst. Okay. So I hear this couple in our paper thin walls just going at it, just for hour and a half. I felt like I was in the room. I'm like, God damn, come on, get done, man. You know, wrap this thing up. Let's go. And so get through it. I'm watching TV, and they're so good. They're doing what they do, and they're being pretty loud enough for me to hear it. So I'm like, all right, you know, so they get done. And I get, you know, in my head, I have this, you know, this couple, they're having fun, they love each other, this and that. I wake up in the morning, I go out to go to my stores, and the couple is out on the balcony there. I'm like, this is a very large man and a very large woman. I'm like, all right, kind of kills the aesthetics of what I was thinking about last night. and then their kids are in the hotel room.
No.
There's like 2 or 3 kids. I look in because as I walk by, I'm like, I could hear the kids, and I'm like, I look in there, and there they are on the bed. And I'm like,
no.
Huh. Babysitter? No. Yeah.
Oh my.
I'm like,
Let's just really hope that they were with Grandma and Grandpa that night and got dropped off that day or something. Oh my gosh.
That's where I was at, because I'm like,
please.
Okay, kids, put in your earplugs.
Oh my gosh.
Daddy's got to talk to Mommy real quick.
We're going to hide and go seek. You guys plug your ears and go over there. Oh my gosh, it's terrible.
I one time in El Cajon, I only say this because it was El Cajon, I'm at a little bit nicer hotel. I travel to the same territories 4 times a year.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if I go down to San Diego, I'll stay in Alpine. Sometimes I'll stay in El Cajon. Sometimes I'll stay in Pacific Beach. Once I stayed out in Calexico. I didn't like that too much. But, so I switch it up. So I'm in this hotel room, and I'm walking down the hallway, and this guy has a 5-Finger Death Punch T-shirt on. I don't know if you ever heard of them, but rock band. Yep. And I'm like, so I'm walking, and I just kind of look up, and I see the guy walking. He's got the 5-Finger shirt on. I look up at his face, and I go, hey, nice T-shirt. He goes, hey, thanks. And I'm like, and he walks past me, and I'm like, that was the lead singer of 5-Finger Death Punch.
Really?
And I looked down. So I looked them up when I got done with my appointment and all that, and they were in town for a show. And I'm like, huh.
How funny is that? Rocking his own band T-shirt.
Yeah. But it's probably, as you could imagine, one of the cleaner things that they had left, you know. I just wonder if you run out of clean clothes, what do you do?
Oh, yeah. Well, not going to lie, I've bathtub washed before. But, you know, at the same time, I'm a girl, so I tend to overpack anyways. So the likelihood of me running out of stuff it doesn't happen. But there was this one time, I don't even know how I did it, but we were going to be on the road for 2 weeks, not 1 week. And I had I had packed for 1 week.
Gotcha.
And I found that out midway to where we were going. I'm like, oh yeah, and I'm just talking about, going back, just talking, and my drummer's like, no, we're going straight to the next one.
Next one, yeah.
I'm like, wait, so we're gone for 2 weeks right now? Yeah. I'm like, oh.
That's not going to work.
I mean, good thing I overpack, but like I still didn't have enough for 2 weeks. You know, 1 week as opposed to 2 weeks. So, and a lot of the hotels too. I mean, they've got, you can find a lot. You got stuff. But yeah, no, I've had to do some hand washing in my time.
Oh yeah. I was going to ask you, how different do you think it is? Or, I mean, you've traveled, and like I haven't traveled with women.
Right.
You've traveled with men, and you've seen how much difficult or easier is it to travel as a woman versus a male, in your opinion?
I mean, oh man, I would say it's definitely more difficult as a female, just because we're just more accessorized and we have more needs, I guess you could say, like more feminine products and things, whatnot, like without getting into it too deeply. But we have our makeup, we have our hair stuff, we have our outfits, and like we don't know if we're going to feel fat that day. So what if that weekend on a Saturday those pants don't feel right or they don't look right? Just women are just a little bit more complicated. I'm okay to admit that. Whereas the guys, they wear the t-shirt and the jeans like on stage. They have no makeup to worry about. They have no hair product to worry about. They use the same soap for everything. So it is what it is, though. I'm not bitter about it or anything. It's kind of funny. I see the guys with their like one suitcase, and I'm like, okay, I got the big old suitcase with the duffel bag, with the the garment bag. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's definitely I get sometimes I'm like, God, it'd be easy to be a guy.
I could not agree more.
Like, oh yeah, bring your black t-shirt and your jeans and your boots, guys. Good. Okay.
I couldn't agree more. As a husband and father of 2 adult daughters.
Yeah.
No,
we're
thank
just
you.
more accessorized.
No, thank you.
Mm-hmm. We don't get to just wake up and go. What, guys have to bring their razor, I guess.
Well, you could. You just don't.
Well, yeah. I mean, people would probably wonder what was wrong with me. I don't wake up show ready.
Sandy, they do anyways.
That's probably true.
So when you're traveling, like you traveled a lot of Western states. Mm-hmm. What is your go-to for food? For what, do you use any specific apps when you're traveling, other than Google Maps or iMaps or whatever?
Yeah, I just use the iMaps, to be honest. And as far as food goes, I do travel with. I'm starting to realize I'm really specific. I actually bring my isogenics shakes with me because at least I know, and I supplement a lot. So at least I have that. Like I know that I'm giving my body at least the essential nutrients that it needs. But yeah, I have this like crate, and that's what like my mug goes in. Like I bring tea and honey and protein powder and my supplements for the time that I'm out there, because being on the road, it's extremely difficult to try to keep any kind of regimen. So as much as I can keep with me, I do.
No, I'm with you. I mean,
easy to get sick, I mean, you're around so many people and you're going to, I have allergies too. So it's like, I go to a different climate and all this, completely different area, and all of a sudden I'm allergic to something, you know what I mean? So you got to just make sure you try to stay on top of the nutrition thing. But yeah, I mean, I definitely don't eat very well. You're eating out a lot, and if you're on the road, you just want to get to your destination as quick as possible. So, if I can find a Chick-fil-A, I'm really excited about it, but they aren't everywhere and they're closed on Sundays.
Happen.
So yeah, if you're always catching like a burger or something like that on the way. So like I said, the fact of having like my supplements, my vitamins, and my protein powder at least I got that going for me.
Well, that's one thing I found. Almost everybody I've talked to that struggles with trying to eat clean while you're on the road or exercising. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's just tough to do.
Absolutely.
It's not impossible, but it's tough.
Right. I mean, especially when you're a musician performing late at night all the time, it's difficult to, and you're just on different, you might go to a different time zone or, and you're up late and you're tired from traveling and performing, so you just kind of want to sleep in, and it's very easy to be late, like a little bit lazy when you're it's almost like you're on vacation a little bit because you're just like, oh, I don't have any responsibilities. Like I'm not home and I don't have to.
Yeah, but if you're gone for 2 weeks, it's tough.
Yeah, you it's easy to fall into that of kind of wanting to lounge a bit.
Yeah, I mean, when I go to Denver or for Vegas for 15, 16 days for NFR mm-hmm. every year, it's that way. It's like it's winter time. It's I'm not going to go out and go for a jog in the morning.
Right.
Sometimes it's 25 degrees outside in Vegas. It's not always hot and sunny.
No.
And it's like, what am I doing? I just want to sleep in. I was out late the night before.
Right. And NFR is just so fun. I mean, gosh, there's so many things going on, and I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's Vegas. That's my favorite time. Even when I didn't live here, coming to town for NFR is it's the best time for sure. There's just so much.
Was this the first time you'd worked during NFR?
Yeah. I've always performed during NFR.
Yeah.
Or at least one of the weekends. So this was my first time kind of being on a different side of things and working a convention. That was really interesting and fun though. I love stuff like that and getting to kind of experience things from a different angle. Like I said before, I was a singer, I was an entertainment director. So, I did the business side of it, and then I got on, actually on stage, and then, with some free time, I'm doing, contract work of some sort. So I actually really do enjoy, changing my scenery a little bit, I guess you could say.
Sure. I mean, I kind of tell people that's what the podcast is too, After 9 years of going out to the same stores for four times a year, seeing the same thing, how many blue plaid shirts can I sell? How many?
All of them.
How many brown boots can I sell?
Right, right.
I'm going to sell a sweatshirt that says Stetson on it this season. I guarantee it. You know why? Because that's what I do every year.
Yeah.
Whereas doing the podcast and talking to fancy people like yourself, it makes it a good time, and it breaks up the monotony of just working in between and going back and forth.
Absolutely.
And like you said, I like the way you put that, where it's something different. You're seeing something in a different light.
Think about how many people go to their job every day they do the same drive. Yeah.
Oh, I think about it all the time.
Go to the same cubicle or whatever, their office, whatever you want to call it, and literally do the same thing. I mean, for some people it works though. I will say that we're all different, and for some people that kind of structure is what they need and what they like. I could never do that though, whereas like those people that do that could never do what I do either. So, and that's like the beauty of it all. That's what makes the world go round, is that, there's different people for everything, so, but I just love, and I feel very blessed that I meet different people all the time. I mean, there's times where, you're struggling financially and you're just like, why do I keep doing this? Like I could totally get a real job, quote unquote, like my parents say, you get a real job and, be more stable. But then I like sit there and I think, gosh, of all the, like some of these incredible people that I've met, I would have never met had it not been for music, and you can't put a price on that. at all, you know, and it just puts things into perspective. Like, gosh, I'm so blessed to get to travel and meet new people and see the country, you know, the western side of the country. And at the end of the day, I get a paycheck for doing it. Now, is it great all the time? Not necessarily, but
it's not great in the cubicle either.
Exactly. You know, I could never do that. I would lose my mind.
I've had jobs where I've worked inside, and it wasn't completely terrible, but it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, even when I was working a regular job, I was in the service industry, so I was serving tables or bartending. But like, think about it though. Yeah, I went to the same place and kind of did the same thing essentially, but I always had different people. You know what I'm saying? So like,
yeah.
It's like I crave that and need that in a way of. That was my change of scenery. Was every night it was a different group of people that I would serve or communicate with. You know, you get your regulars obviously, but that changes it up for you. You know, and you get a chance to be social. I'm just such a social person. I could not sit behind a desk and not be around people and communicate and joke around and make new friends. You know, like all those things. Like I just can't even imagine.
It's interesting because I think some people have a perception of what it's like to be on the road. And, you know, I've talked to many people who have office jobs. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, you're so lucky. I'm like, you know, yeah. I mean, I don't think it would be, you know, it's not for them. You almost have to have a mentality for it, though. Because it's not normal. For me, you know, if I go up to San Francisco and I'm up there for a week and I only do $4,000 in sales and I get a commission off that $4,000, I've lost money. It would cost me money to go on that trip. And so I don't have that security of I'm going to go to work today and make X amount. And I know exactly what I'm going to make this week. I don't know what I'm going to make this year. It could be really good. It could be really bad. You know?
Yeah.
And that's something that
it's all a risk.
that's the balance though. Some people can't live with that risk.
Exactly.
They like the idea of, you know, traveling and being on the road and this and that, but okay, well here's your choice. You don't know if you're gonna make rent in 6 months.
Right.
You know. It's
absolutely
similar to, you know, gigging, I would assume. You know, I mean, if you're not doing gigs, you're not making money.
Absolutely. Right. And then that's when you know, that's when contract work comes into play, whether I'm hosting an event or doing or emceeing something, or, you know, as an entertainer, sometimes you have to get creative. You know, we've got our friend Cowboy Troy who's starting his, you know, we were just talking about that, his cooking show, you know, like branching out. I have another good friend, Bob Doyle, who is one of the featured teachers from The Secret. I don't know if you're familiar with that or not. He's got his hands in all, he's an author, but he kind of is breaking into the little bit of cooking, and he does some VR entertainment. But definitely, like, I see this more, you know, more and more now that I guess maybe I'm more aware of it, that these days too, you can't just be one thing, especially if you're in the entertainment business. You have to kind of be flexible to branch out and be creative, because you can't just rely on always having singing engagements, you know?
Yeah.
You have to have some other stuff lined up for yourself. You can't just, you're going to get in trouble if you're trying to just do one thing, you know? That's why, you know, I would also consider myself an entertainer, because there's a lot of other things I do than just sing. So. Well,
yeah, if you ever get a chance, listen to Cowboy Troy's podcast with me. I think it'd be great for all musicians. But, you know, with what you talked about, he talks about diversifying it and producing and finding new talent, and, you know, licensing his name out to other products and all that, which I think for the vast majority of musicians, it's something you have to do today. I don't care how successful you are.
Right.
I mean, almost all the big shows, you know, YouTube by Verizon, you know, they're finding, because the money's not there the way it was even 20 years ago.
Right.
And that's what Troy talked a lot about, downloads and how you get paid. And they have the 360 deals now with the music companies, where they used to leave you just your merch and your tour was your money, and they wanted money off your albums. But they found out they weren't making what they used to make off just the album sales, because album sales don't exist anymore. So that they made these 360 deals that he called them, where now they're getting a piece of your merch and your tour and all that.
That's wild. It's so messed up. Like, and it's not gonna. It's only gonna get worse. You know,
that's not going away. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, it's never gonna go away. So yeah, I mean, it's super important, like I said, you know, to diversify yourself, and not only for financial reasons, but as we were saying in the beginning of this, is that, you know, and if you can somehow monetize a hobby, you know, for example, so like if he enjoys cooking and he can somehow monetize that and make it into a show, that's great. You know, that's part of you keeping something that makes you, you know, as an individual, something that you enjoy.
Yeah, and it's. I think. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know the music industry, but I know when the next recession hits. It's not an if; it's a when.
Right.
And I've lived through several now, unfortunately. You've only lived through one.
Right.
But when you were pretty young when it hit, right? I mean, it was 2007, 2008. You were, what, 20?
Yep.
In that area.
Yep, that's exactly right.
You know, when that hits, how are, you know, people, musicians, business people, traveling salespeople, how do they survive?
Right, you know, and I don't, you know, I was very, like I said, I was very young. I was still in college. I was working the service industry. So here's an interesting thing too, is that no matter what kind of recession's going on, people are still going to drink and eat.
Yes, but
you know what I'm saying?
Will they go out as much?
I definitely did well at that time. So, and I was I was just getting into 21. So I became a bartender 2 weeks after turning 21, and you know, I did very well.
Vegas took a bath in the last one.
Right. I wasn't here in Vegas at that time. So, but yeah, back where I was, it just, you know, you would think that it would affect it. Maybe it did in the big scheme of things. Like if the restaurant looked at their sales from like the year before us to then, but on the service end of it, you know, I kind of came to that realization is that people are still going to drink alcohol. You know, it's
absolutely.
They need their like escape, and that seems to, you know, especially if you provide a place where they can come have entertainment, dance, listen to some country music, you know, they're still going to do it. And especially if you can make it work, you know, where I worked was they had really cool specials and stuff like that too. So
yeah, and a lot of that comes down to, you know, like the company I work for now, you know, we've been around since 1948, and so they've made it through a lot of recessions. Right. You know, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s. But I know life has changed for them.
Right.
You know, and when I started, the commission rate was lower than what it is now, because they went, look, if we're going to make it, we're going to have to lower everyone's commission rate. And if your choice was, don't work for the company, or take it what you can.
Right. Make some money or make no money.
Right.
I mean.
And so everyone like, yeah, we'll make some money.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so I think this next one's going to be interesting for a lot of the younger people who haven't really lived through one.
Right. It'll be interesting for me being, you know, I like to call it a real adult. You know, when you're 20, 21, you're not really an adult yet. I'm sorry. I know I certainly wasn't.
You say that now, but when you were 20, you're like, I'm an adult. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I thought I had it together. Which I mean, I was doing pretty good, to be honest.
I was too.
I was working my way through college, making good money. You know, maybe partying a little too hard once in a while. I mean, I don't think
no one ever puts away what they should.
Yeah. You know, being 2 weeks into turning 21 and working at a bar.
Yeah.
You know, man.
Fun.
Yeah. But you know, I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't trade it.
You kind of can't. I mean, that's the beauty of as you get older, you go, and you're seeing now, whether you have a medical issue or you have career issues or whatever, it is what makes you.
Absolutely.
I thought I told you the story, but Joe Walsh from the Eagles gets interviewed, and he's like, what's it like having this great storied life that you've led? And he's like, it didn't feel like that at the time. It felt like a clusterfuck at the time.
Yeah.
Of drug overdose and band fights and this and music industry and this. It was now, when you look back on it, you go, oh, it happened the way it was supposed to happen.
Absolutely.
But at the time, oh my God, end of the world. The end of the world is end of the world.
Right.
So I figured as long as I got health and I wake up the next day, I still got a chance to fight it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's kind of my mantra at this point. What would you recommend, or what advice would you give another female, maybe in her 20s, who hasn't toured and hasn't done? What advice would you give her as far as touring and traveling?
Oh my.
Uh-oh.
I'm like, bring your own towel.
Yeah, your own pillow, your own towel, your own food.
I would say you're gonna be tested in so many ways, especially when you're traveling with all men. You're gonna butt heads with people. You're gonna find yourself in situations where you're like, gosh, I will. You're gonna want to go home. You're gonna get homesick. But at the end of the day, just I would say, like we were talking about earlier in the podcast, is try to keep a part of you somehow ingrained in your lifestyle, even on the road if you can, and also just to remember why you did this or why you're doing this in the first place. And you really have to be disciplined and stay focused, because it can really be tough out there. And so yeah, at the end of the day, just remember why you started doing what you're doing, and why, and that you really do love it, because you really do have to love it. I mean, there's no other way around it, because if you're doing it for the wrong reasons, or you just want to make money, or you just want like quick fame or whatever it might be, it's not going to be there. And take every experience and know that it's just part of the adventure. You might perform for 8 people, and might perform for 8,000. You might have everyone cheering you on, and you might have crickets.
Yeah.
You just gotta, like I said, stay focused, stay disciplined, and remember why you're there.
That's the one thing I don't have to do with my job. I don't get booed.
I've never been booed, but I've had crickets before.
To me, crickets is like getting booed.
Oh.
I mean, I don't know.
You get the couple people that clap. But sometimes in some of these casinos, you get set up on a stage where there's just people are really just gambling, and they could give a crap what's going on the stage. So you're just like, oh well, good thing I'm not doing this for other people. Good thing I'm doing this for me.
I think it was Planet Hollywood, right on the Strip, and this was like 4 years ago. And I go in there, and I'm just walking around by myself. It's during NFR, and I'm just walking down the Strip trying to take a break from everybody and everything. And I go in and I start playing 3-card poker at Planet Hollywood. I'm pretty sure that's where Brittany plays, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so her posters were all over. But at Planet Hollywood, right above the tables, they're not strippers, but they're go-go dancers.
Oh, like go-go dancers. I know exactly. Yep. I've been there.
And I'm like, guys and women, they're so wrapped into they don't realize there's a mostly not clothed woman dancing 8 feet away from you.
Right.
And most of the gamblers could not give a rat's ass that she was there.
Right.
I mean, it was just like in any other environment or world, it'd be like, there's a mostly naked woman dancing right in front of me for free.
Right.
But in Vegas, whatever.
Right.
Next.
It's so funny.
It's just that's Vegas, and that's that's the only part I think about with what you were saying about Vegas is it's a big small city.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be interesting as an entertainer. Like it used to be the land of the forgotten entertainers. Like in the 70s and 80s even, you went there at the end of your career, and now it's not that way.
No,
I mean, you have
it's
so many big.
So much.
Yeah. I mean, now it's a cool place to be.
Yes.
So that's kind of strange.
It's a crazy town.
So you have no advice for people, for other women?
Oh, I do.
Pillow.
No, I do. I did.
I
did. I said stay disciplined, stay focused,
and
remember why you're doing it. And, and like I said, keep a piece of yourself with you if you can. Don't lose yourself in your work.
Yeah, well, that's why I thought it was so interesting to talk to you when I first met you. And you said that. I'm like, man, that's where I've been down that road.
Yeah.
Where you just get I'm working. I'm traveling. I'm going to go here. I'm going to leave. I don't care. Next, move. And then you kind of go, you wake up and go, what the hell just happened?
Yeah. 3 years later, you're like, wait a second.
I had fun, didn't I?
Did I live at all or did I just work? My gosh.
And I just worked.
Yeah.
So what do you have coming up? How can people get a hold of you? How can people?
I'm on my social media platforms. So I have Facebook. If you just search Sandy Nights, or Instagram, Sandy Nights Official. I can't really talk about it yet, but I definitely have some new things in the work. I'm making a transition. So if you want to check me out on my social media platforms and be part of it, I would love that.
How much interaction do you get with fans?
A lot, actually. And that's the part I love the most about performing is that, like I said, the friends, and I don't even like to call them fans because I kind of make people my friends.
Yeah.
It's great. I get to be up close and personal with them all the time. I'm a regionally touring artist, but, by no means am I, bigger than my britches or anything like that. I absolutely love to see the familiar faces when I return to like the same towns and stuff like that. And, certainly friends, I definitely have people that I look forward to seeing. And social media is a great way to kind of stay in contact with everybody. Even if I'm not in your town at that time, it's, what a great way to be able to network and, stay present in people's lives in some way, because it can be difficult to do that sometimes.
Without, it's not a money grab, but I would think with being on social media and the accessibility of social media, you could reach out to your fans a lot easier, I would think.
Yeah.
If you have a new track or album coming out,
right.
or something's coming up.
Yeah, or if you're announcing shows, things like that. I have actually specific groups also that people belong to. So I have like a Reno group, I have a Southern California group, I have a Vegas group. So I can target that exact geographical region that I've put together for myself to make sure that, hey guys, next month I'm going to be there, putting it out there.
Well, that's cool. That's what I was, a lot of people talk about the negative parts of social media. It makes you less, you're not talking to people as much and this and that. But I look at it and go, you can, in some ways, you can reach out to people even more.
Yeah, I find it to be, I find it to be completely opposite of that. I think social media becomes negative when people use it for the wrong reasons, like airing their personal business or, airing their dirty laundry and making things really personal and political. And I think all of that kind of gives it a bad taste. But, anything I'm posting on my social media is either business driven or it's motivational or it's fun. I keep it's all public, so whatever I'm putting on social media, I know is public. So I'm going to put something that I'm okay with everyone knowing or seeing, and I get blown away when people are like outing their exes or, just talking crap like that. That is just, I can't I just can't process how people can do that. I mean, maybe it's just because I'm in a different state of mind and I use it, for business and for entertainment reasons. And I think that that's what it's for me. And it's, social networking. I mean, I don't know, I don't think people get what that means. When we network, we go to mixers, we physically do stuff like that.
Sure.
Or we go to events and we all shake hands with each other and we exchange business cards. So social networking, on the internet is just that, on the internet. So, don't put things on there that's going to, affect what you're trying to put out there. You have the freedom of choice of how you want to present yourself to the public.
Yeah.
So use it to your advantage.
Well, that's what I think it's so accurate what you just said about, the celebrity-isms. Even if you're not a celebrity, but you're acting like you're a celebrity and this and that,
yeah.
Well, then people are going to make those judgments and calls based on that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm
social media is like money in the sense of money doesn't make you evil. It makes a good person better. It makes a bad person worse. I think social media is kind of the same way. You could use it for good and show people, like you said, to motivate and show people, to keep striving, to keep working, to work, to hustle, or to be negative.
Right. And you really have that choice at the end of the day, how
absolutely.
you want to present yourself to the public. So it's up to the individual.
So what you're saying is to all my listeners is if they want to stay motivated, positive, they should start following you.
Yes, do that.
Okay. I got you.
Yeah, and I'm extremely genuine. Like I said, I don't, I keep we were talking about this earlier before the podcast, that I keep my friend group very small. I have my family and my very close friends that I could, my very close friends that I probably count on one hand. And those are the people that are going to hear about my hardships. And those are the people that I'm going to call on when I'm going through stuff. I don't need to put it out there on Facebook that I'm having a bad day. We all have bad days. And that's the thing, too, is I think people, I hate to say it, but sometimes small-minded people are just like, oh, you just have the most perfect life, and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, no, I don't. I'm a human, and I deal with health issues. I deal with, financial problems sometimes. I deal with all these things, too. But on a public platform, that's not the time or the place to put that out there. I have people in my life for that, and that's all personal stuff.
I take a lot of photos when I travel, and then I post them because I'm like, hey, here's what Northern California looks like. Here's what San Diego looks like. Here's what South Dakota looks like. Here's what Oregon looks like. Mm-hmm. I had a friend go, what are you on vacation all the time? Don't you work for a living? And I go, yeah. You want me to take pictures of me driving on the 405 freeway in traffic?
Right. Yeah.
They're
like, that's not like. I'm not.
It took me 2 hours to get out of LA, but you want me to post that? I'll post that picture.
Yeah.
It's going to look the same tomorrow that it looked today, but.
Right.
But I'm the same way because I try and put out positive stuff versus.
Right.
Crap.
In a world where everyone's dealing with stuff, why not just be a little bit of a light, on someone's dark day? Like if I maybe put a motivational quote that I come across and I want to share it with everybody,
right.
Maybe it hits someone that day and and makes them have a different perspective on it, maybe an issue they're having. I'd rather be that positive thing that someone's going to see in their news feed as opposed to like something negative.
Yeah. Well, you do that.
Yeah. I'll keep doing that.
Well, I will. I'll put your links into the bio and make sure people can get to you easier and faster.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Appreciate the time and
absolutely.
And the insight. I always as a male, it's hard for me to talk about business travel as for a female.
Right.
And there is a difference. There's half of our sales reps that I work with are female, and one has gone through 2 pregnancies while doing my job. So I'm like, God, how can I complain about what I do?
Insane. Well, gosh, bless
her. Her territory is Texas.
Oh my gosh.
So for me to complain about, oh man, I got to drive. I'm like, she was 8 months pregnant, doing the exact same job I'm doing. I'm like, fuck, I can't complain.
That's crazy.
She took all the whining out of me right there.
Yeah. Well, like I said, bless her.
Yeah. So, but so I appreciate you spending the time and broaching some of those subjects about traveling with men and that type of thing.
Absolutely.
And when your new projects start coming out, I'd love to have you on again. Maybe we can talk about it and get some more press on it.
Yes, I would love that. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
So, appreciate the time, Sandy, and I'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Sandy.
Bye.
Bye.